Losing absolutely sucks in this game. Actually, losing in general, just in anything in life, it does kind of suck. What's going on, you guys? Slim here, finally back, give you guys another off the wall video discussion. And this is a topic that is, again, something I've wanted to cover for a while, just been really busy, but something that I've, taken a lot of time to think about. And it's something that I think pretty much any player of any level can benefit from. And we're going to talk about the number one reason why you're losing at Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's not what you guys think. We could go on for days in multiple videos about luck being a factor. It is. It really is. And trust me, I still want to make a video on luck. It is honestly one of the hardest topics to cover because luck, probability, statistics, all that stuff, it's a lot of it is random. A lot of it you can try to control by, your deck count, by, your ratios and stuff. You could try, you could flip a coin, X amount of times, get a certain result, roll a dice, the same thing. But at the end of the day, luck does play a factor, and it is something I do want to talk about. But that is not the number one reason why you are losing at Yu-Gi-Oh! If luck was the reason, I think the majority of people would just not play. Because let's face it, sometimes you just can't control luck. A lot of times you can't control luck. But I personally feel that the number one reason why you, myself, anyone who ever plays, who has ever lost, multiple times in a day, multiple times in a week, seen, a decline in success or seen, just certain things happen, it's due to a lack of deck education. You guys are probably thinking, deck education? What on earth is that? Basically, what it is that you have no idea what your opponent's deck does, or you just took the time to not even learn it. And this is something that, I am so guilty of on so many different fronts. It's not even funny. Now, this can be applied, in meta, in the competitive meta, in the casual meta, in any format you play. It comes down to, did you take the time to kind of study the meta? Did you take the time to learn all the decks in the meta? I've talked about this in several videos about how important it is to, understand the meta, understand what is being played, analyze what's being played, and, either play one of those decks or build your deck to counter, those said decks. Certain examples that I can give you guys from experiences I've had is I've gone to locals before, and I've actually been to a locals where there was very little meta, and I mean very little. And I'm talking like literally I was playing a meta deck and I saw one other person playing a meta deck in a room of like, I'd say at least like 14 or 15, something like that. And, that's kind of crazy when you think about it, that many people are not playing meta. And you're probably wondering, Slim, what were they playing? Well, they were playing what people referred to as the lower tier decks, the anti-meta decks, and they really were playing a lot of anti-meta stun. My God, in my lifetime, I have never seen a locals that played so many Fossil Dynas, Thunder Kings, Inspector Borders, and, Set 5, played Altergeist, played, a lot of kind of like trap decks and stuff like that. And I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, I play those decks, that's awesome, play whatever deck you want. But it's basically talking about how, a lack of education, a lack of understanding, and a lack of preparing could be the reason why you lose those games. And I'll be honest, I went against Stun and I lost, and it sucked ass. I lost the die roll. He literally summoned Fossil Dyna set 4. I was like, yeah, I set a monster, thinking, okay, it's got 2,000 defense, I'll get there eventually, I'll bide my time. And then they flip that trap that like boosts their guy but like a lot or something like that, and then they put Moonmere Shield and they just get over anything no matter what. And I was like, oh yeah, we're not winning this game. So yeah, lack of education right there could be that, I didn't expect stun. I didn't respect it enough to think that, oh, someone's going to bring this to local, someone's going to bring this to, whatever tournament. And that's something that, I think we'll talk about also in this video is, preparing your side deck and being educated for every deck in the format. Again, it took me by surprise. A lot of decks over, the last format have taken me by surprise. I've played against some pretty crazy decks. In past YCSs, I played against things like the Treasure Panda Exodia deck. I've played against, different versions of Goki that weren't, like the U-board or weren't like that. They played like other monsters. They played like that Towers Goki monster that was just like, oh crap, how do I out that? Oh yeah, I kind of don't. I didn't prepare for that. And I feel at the end of the day, there are some factors you cannot control. You cannot control every deck you're going to play in a room, but you can make the best educated guess. You can make the best educated choice on, your side deck, on your main deck, and kind of making a spreadsheet in your head of, okay, what do I have the potential to face, and can my deck answer those decks. Because I'll be honest, I could have gone through a spreadsheet of Sky Strikers, Solomon Great, Thunder, Danger Thunder, all those decks, and with the deck I was playing at that locals that day, I could be like, yes, I may not beat them every time, but yes, my deck can stand up to them. Yes, my side deck is built accordingly to counter those decks. Did I put decks like Anti-Meta Stun, Counter Fairies? I think there was a different version of Mech Knight Invoke that I hadn't seen. Oh, the Fairy Luna Control Mech Knight Invoke. Had I put those on my list? No, I didn't. Now, again, you can't account for every deck in the format, but you can try to make, the best educated, deck selection, the best educated side deck selection, really just try to account for everything out there. There are cards that, overlap against, certain matches that can also apply to these matches. And I feel overall, as long as you do that, that is a huge step in the right directions towards, improving your win ratio. Like I said, you're going to have weeks where you win a lot of games. You're going to have weeks where you lose a lot of games. And I feel that if you keep yourself educated, you'll probably see more wins than losses. I was actually playing again at another locals, and one thing that really caught to me as I was playing one of my friends, and he literally was talking about how he had tried, certain cards in his Sky Striker deck, and he decided against it because he didn't want to jeopardize what the deck is meant to do. He didn't want to play gimmicky cards to take away from what his deck does. And that really stuck with me. Like, that really stuck with me. That was like the craziest thing I had heard in a while. And it made me really think, you can only do so much with your deck. Do what your deck is supposed to do and don't go overboard. Like, you don't want to, jeopardize your deck. And I thought that was just really cool. I thought that was a really educated response. It was a really educated decision. And, again, you're not going to account for every deck, but your best thing you can do is kind of just study the meta. I've talked about this so many times. Study the meta and analyze what's going on. Know what Solomon Great do. Know what Thunder do. Know what Orcus do. Know what the cards do. Know the interactions. I don't think there's anything worse than having to read cards. And trust me, reading cards sucks. When you see your opponent grab your card and read it, they're either doing it, as a game tactic, or they're doing it because they really don't know what your card does. And you'll play against plenty of decks and you'll just have no idea what those decks do. And I feel that, again, the whole point of this video is a lack of deck education, a lack of understanding what all the decks do in the format is the reason why you're probably losing. And it's something that I have definitely been on the receiving end of. There have been plenty of decks I didn't do enough research on. I had to take time to read the cards, losing time in the game, having to read this, like, oh, this is what this does. Oh, this is this interaction. And it was pretty crazy. I thought to myself, man, I definitely should stay more educated. And that's where I think YouTube really comes in. There are, of course, all the resources you can use online, but I honestly think YouTube is one of the best, because if there is any deck in the format you want to know about, you can just search it. You can just search it and you can find exactly what you need to know. You'll see replays of the deck. You'll hear people's builds on the deck. And even though they may not be the best builds, they could be the best builds, they may not be the best builds, you get a general idea of, what the decks do. Like, if you are unsure about a certain deck, like, oh, am I going to go in and am I going to play against pure Crusadia Guard Dragon? And I don't really know, what that deck does, compared to Thunder Dragons. You can look it up. You can see the combos. You can see the ending board. You can see what they do. And you're like, okay, these cards in my side deck cover, Thunder. They can also account for this deck, they can account for that deck, and so on and so forth. And I think that's another thing, is that once you have analyzed, kind of accounted, what the decks of the meta are, you can put to the side that, okay, I do have a chance at regionals, at YCSs, at whatever event, at locals, to play some lower tier decks that I probably wouldn't see, in other tournaments. And it could be here nor there. You might see them, you might not see them. How can I account for that? Something that I definitely could have accounted for is, having cards like Denko Second, Twin Twister, that not only work against decks like Alter Guys, they have application against Solomon Gray, they have application against Sky Strikers, but they also work against stun decks, and that's something, of course, we'll be doing another side deck video sometime soon. Once the format establishes itself, talking about, the best cards for the format, and not only that, but how to utilize your 15 slots, because, again, at the end of the day, you're going to play more games sided than you will with your main deck, so that's very important as well. But overall, I feel that it is something that over the years, and especially in the last couple months, even after nationals, just playing at locals, playing and seeing what people do in the off season, and that's the one thing I said I love about the off season, is you see so many decks you didn't see before, but it kind of opens your eyes to things that you probably didn't respect or didn't think about, during the format. It was like, okay, you expect to see these decks at a YCS, but you don't account for this deck. Like, you see a lot of Salamangreat, you see a lot of Thunder, you see a lot of Orcus, but you don't see a lot of Cyber Dragon, you don't see a lot of Ultrageist, you don't see a lot of certain builds. And, then you go and play against them, even at locals or at, any kind of tournament, OTS tournament, those VIP qualifiers people were playing in, the UDS qualifiers people were playing in. And overall, you get an understanding like, oh man, I didn't account for this deck. And, if I don't account for this deck, it might just screw me over at the next event. And that's one thing that I definitely have learned the hard way, and it's something I definitely don't want you guys to fall into the same category, is that respect every deck of the format. It doesn't matter if, it's winning every event or it's, coming top 32, top 64, whatever it is. If there's representation, if there are people playing it, you need to be educated. And I know we don't have all day to read every card in the game. I certainly don't, and that's one thing I will admit. I definitely don't do that. You guys should know this. With most sets, it's kind of a known joke on this channel. I don't read anything about the sets. I know a couple highlight cards. I know that those are the cards I want to pick up. Those are the cards I'm hoping to pull. And that's it. When I first opened those packs, I'm just like, I've never seen any of these cards or looked at any of these cards in my life. So it's something that, while I'm not proud of it, it's something that I do want to improve on, and I encourage you all to do the same, is stay educated, you guys. Education is huge. I'm actually in school right now, for those of you that don't know. Those of you who've been on this channel for a long time know that I have gone back and forth with school. It is just something that has been hard for me, and I'll be straight up honest with you guys, and working on it, getting closer and closer each day to to graduating and stuff like that. And it's something that not only have I learned to appreciate my actual school education, I've come to appreciate education in every aspect of my life. Education at my job, education in playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, and education in all my hobbies and relationships that I do have. There is always something you can learn, and I feel that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is no different. If you don't, take the time to learn every deck of the format, or you don't take time to, respect a certain deck, like I said, it's going to slip you up. I'm going to tell you right now, Fossil Dynasty Set 4 really kind of, it slapped me back to Timbuktu and back. It was pretty crazy. But overall, I feel that, unfortunately, it is probably one of the number one reasons why most people lose games of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because you're not educated. You don't know what cards do, and it's something that you definitely can change. You have the power to change that by researching. You have so many resources. YouTube, an amazing resource. Facebook groups, amazing resource. All social medias are kind of like a resource these days, because there's Yu-Gi-Oh! Everywhere, you guys. I use my Facebook as like damn near a Yu-Gi-Oh! Newspaper. I always know what's going on in the game because of like my Facebook and because of YouTube, and I feel that's something that you all can utilize at the end of the day, is that use your resources, take the time to learn every deck, take the time, and I'm not saying don't cram every deck into one day. It's like studying, you guys. If you cram, maybe some of you can do it. I personally can't. I can't cram and do well. But if I take the time and section by section, deck by deck, learn this, learn that, learn this interaction, learn that interaction, something new each day, it makes me better. It makes me understand things better. And even if you don't play against those decks at a regional, at a YCS, at any of the tournaments we've talked about on any level, at least you were prepared. At least you thought in your head, oh, okay, if I play against this, I know what to do. And again, of course, luck will play a factor. That, again, is a video topic for another day. But at the end of the day, if you are prepared, if you are educated, you will have definitely more success than if you weren't. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. It's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. It's something that I feel that every player can benefit from. It is something that I benefit from every day going forward. Researching decks, respecting decks. It's important to know what's going on in the meta, even in the off season, because let's face it, the season, it's about to start. The UDS is I believe in 2 weeks? Something like that. So yeah, the countdown is kind of on. The season is starting a lot quicker than most people expected. Usually it starts towards the very end of August or start of September. But there's the UDS in Indianapolis, there's the YCS in Portland, and our season just gets roaring. So it's pretty crazy. And you guys you want to be prepared. Whether, like I said, whether you're on the competitive level or the casual level, there's no reason not to be prepared in every format. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this discussion. Let me know your personal stories about decks you were educated on or were not educated on, and what happened. And yeah, if you guys want to hear any more of my crazy stories, trust me, I got a bunch of them. I'll definitely share them with you guys in future videos. But yeah, I hope this video was informative. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.